Welcome to e-learning Nuggets channel. Today we are going to learn about different types of computers. Computers are broadly classified into three types: analog, digital and hybrid. Digital computers are again divided into two types: by purpose, by size and performance. By purpose we have general purpose computers and specific purpose computers. By size and performance we have microcomputers, mini computers, mainframes and supercomputers. Now let us look at each of these types one by one. Analog computers. An analog computer uses analog data for measuring the quantities. What do I mean by analog data? Let us take the pitch, the sound, the tone of my voice, the sound which you hear. The voice keeps changing, the tone keeps changing. When I'm angry, I may shout. When I am in a more peaceful way, I may be talking normally. So this is how it keeps changing. Like that, even the temperature when you see outside, morning it might be sunny, afternoon it might start raining. So there is a change in the drop in the temperature. So these data or quantities which change continuously is what the analog computers measure. So you also have these signals, radio signals, your speedometer and your heartbeat. All these keeps changing continuously. So these are measured by the analog computers. You can see the analog waveform, it keeps changing, it is not constant. Digital computers, on the other hand, they are made up of discrete data. Discrete data means it is only having two data, that is zeros and ones. So zeros and ones, and these zeros and ones are processed as binary numbers. Binary numbers is going to process this letters, text, symbols, whatever alphabets that you find on the keyboard in the form of zeros and ones. They are known as electronic digital computers, and all the computers that we are using nowadays are of this form: digital computers. Your tablets, your PC, or mobile phones, your laptops are all digital electronic computers. The third type of computers are hybrid computers. They are made up of both analog data as well as digital data. For example, if you take a patient's history, like his health history, you can you can find out his BP, his sugar levels, his heart rate, all this by using the analog computers. And you can use this data and perform some surgery or operations, or the further treatment can be done using digital devices. So when you're combining both analog and digital, it is known as hybrid computers. So you can see that the petrol pump also, you can have analog as well as digital data, and it can be used in scientific applications as well as industrial process. So in your course of study, we have digital computers. We have to study a little more in depth about digital computers. Digital computers are divided into two types: one by purpose and one by size and performance. By purpose, they are divided into specific purpose and general purpose. By size and performance, they are divided into four types: microcomputer, mini computer, mainframes and supercomputers. Specific purpose computers. Specific purpose computers are designed to do a particular or specific task. For example, you can take the weather forecasting simulators, which is going to record the weather changes which is happening over the day, or the traffic light control computers. They are all specifically doing for one particular task. General purpose computers, on the other hand, they are useful for variety of applications. For example, your smartphone. You use your smartphone for talking, for listening to music, for watching a movie, and for chatting. So it is able to do a lot of different applications. So it is known as general purpose computers. By size and performance, again computers are divided into four types: microcomputers, mini computers, mainframes and supercomputers. Let us look at microcomputers. See, initially microcomputers was designed for a single person to use. It had a processor, a memory and the IO devices. So it had a microprocessor, and it was mainly for our personal use. So it is also known as personal computers. The desktop computers which you see nowadays are all come under this category. So can you think of any other microcomputers? Yes, you're right. The laptops, your smartphones, your tablets, pocket calculators, which you can see in the picture, they're all a part of microcomputers. So here I've given you some of the examples of microcomputers: desktops, laptops, notebooks, mobile, tablets, pocket calculators, etc. So where do we use each of these? Desktops, as the name suggests, you keep it on the table or in your house for personal use. They are known as desktops. Laptops are those computers which can be carried on your lap. That's what it means, laptop. And it is also called as notebooks. Yes, you have another category of computer called as netbooks and palm tops. As the name suggests, they are smaller computers, and this can be used when you are moving, like when you're going to your college, or when you have to do a research somewhere, where or to your office, you have to take your computers and go. You can use this kind of computers. They are very useful for a lot of storing of lot of data, and you can retrieve your files, and they have the capacity of having internet in them, and all and you can listen to music and songs, and you can play your movies, you can play games. So there are a lot of things, and many of you, I'm sure, will be having laptops at home. So I don't need to go into a too much of depth explaining them, but then they are mainly used when you are carrying your data along with you. And mobiles and smartphones, I think there's no need of any introduction to smartphones, because smartphones are, it is like everyone is having now. So again, in smartphones we have so many features, so many different generations of mobile phones. So that is also a working computer. Then we talk about mini computers. See, mini computers came in after the mainframes. Mainframes are huge computers, which I will be talking later. Mini computers are known as mid-range computers, and these computers are smaller than the mainframes but larger than your microcomputers. And what is the main advantage of mainframe? Many users can use these applications in these computers simultaneously. Simultaneously means at the same time they can work on different applications. So all this makes it very feasible for people when they want to work on some applications where a lot of people are required. Now we talk about mainframes. Mainframes are very huge and powerful computers. They are used for bulk data processing. It is more expensive compared to your microcomputer or your mini computer. But when the organization has lot of employees and lot of data has to be stored in this computers, then it is best to go for mainframes. So some of the mainframe uses I have listed here. It is used in e-commerce, e-banking, healthcare, military, and large organizations. I'll just briefly tell you about this. E-commerce means electronic commerce. Electronic commerce is buying and selling of goods is known as electronic. Buying and selling of goods online is known as e-commerce. So for example, when I say online, you will immediately, your mind flashes and you know it's Amazon, your Flipkart, all these portals which you see on your apps which you have on your mobiles. Yes, they all are actually e-commerce websites. So here a lot of buying and selling happens, and they have to keep track of their customers' information. So where is it done? It is all done on these mainframes, which is used for bulk data processing. And in banks also, when you are doing ATM withdrawals, a lot of people are drawing from different ATM, different branches. So where is the data going? It's all going to be stored in mainframes, and it is also kept for the customers accounts update and for mobile online payments, and a lot of information about the checks which are being generated and which has been passed around. For all this we are using mainframes. And in big hospitals also, in healthcare, where there is a lot of infrastructure, big hospitals are there also they use mainframes to keep track of all the patients record and history. Another important area where the mainframes are used is in academics. See, in big universities and research centers, mainframes are being used nowadays to keep track of all the students' details and their research activities. Huge research activities are stored in mainframes. And in large organizations, for example, the retail industry, or for any biscuit industry, like some industries where you need to keep a stock of the inventory and the day-to-day transactions, mainframes are used. So these are some of the uses of mainframe computers. Here I have pictures of the mainframes. See, IBM holds 90% share of manufacturing mainframe computers. So their latest one is called as IBM Z series, and this is IBM Z series, and you can see the inner part of the inside of the mainframe. It looks like this, and these are the system Z9, Z10 servers. And apart from IBM, Unisys also has come up with some mainframe computers. They are known as ClearPath Libra and ClearPath Dorado. Now we talk about supercomputers. Yes, the word super is always supercomputer. It gives you a nice feel. Yes, a supercomputer is a computer with high level of performance. So what is the main advantage of supercomputers? It is very fast, it's very effective, and it can process quadrillions instructions per second. So it is not millions or billions instructions per second as we were talking in the CPU. It is quadrillions instructions per second. So how does the supercomputer work? The supercomputer uses parallel processing. Yes, so what it does is it takes a piece of work, it divides it or splits it into many parts, and each part is taken care by one processor, and so the work gets done very fast. So I can give you an example wherein like one person is going to handle all the tasks. Let me say like I'm going to uh, do some particular task. Instead of only me doing that particular task, if I'm going to divide the task for 2-3 people to do it, then my work gets faster. I mean, my work gets done faster. So that's what has happens in supercomputers. This concept is known as parallel processing. So let us look at the uses of supercomputers. They are used in variety of fields. It is used for scientific research, for engineering applications, and for weather forecasting, and in military, and in artificial intelligence, climatic simulations, etc. So here are some of examples of supercomputers which are being developed all over the world. It is not very easy for us to do supercomputers because it costs a lot of money. So Deep Blue is one of the supercomputers developed by IBM for playing chess, and Cray 1 was the first supercomputer which was made using vector process design, and it was able to quickly arrange the memory and registers in a single operation on large set of data. Today's fastest supercomputer is known as Summit. Summit is also manufactured by IBM, and it is used by scientists and researchers for artificial intelligence, healthcare, etc. The cost of this particular computer, it comes to around $97 million, or in Indian rupees it is around 7 billion rupees. So you can see this is the world's fastest computer, and here you can see Deep Blue. Deep Blue is a chess playing computer. It was being played with Gary Kasparov, the chess champion of the time, like in around 1986, I think. So 1986. So I mean, he was defeated by this computer. And you have Sunway Tayu Lite. It was developed in China, and this is also a very fast, fast growing supercomputer. In the sense, like it is having a lot of reviews, and you can see it is used for research and engineering. It was the first supercomputer which modeled the early expansion of universe, like how the universe came in and how the galaxy looked like. All this was done by this supercomputer. Some of the other examples are MD Grape 3. It was built in Japan for studying protein structure and molecular dynamics. And you have EFF Disk Cracker or Deep Crack. It was used for breaking data encryption standards. Encryption means when you are coding it in a different way, and then you are decoding to get back the original message. That is called as encryption. For example, when you log in your email or Gmail, you use your password, and if you see the passwords are all coded with the star, so the computer needs to know how to decode it. So but this is actually done in a more higher level, like for the military or all the security reasons, Deep Crack is used. And then you have gravity pipe. It's also nicknamed as grape, and is used in astrophysics. So all the gravitational energy which is happening around us, it is used for mainly reading about that. So it is called as gravity pipe. Now coming to India's supercomputer, it is known as Param supercomputer. Param stands for parallel machine. It was developed in 1991, and this series of machines, it starts from Param 8000. It was developed by CDAC in Pune, and the latest machine, its name is Param Brahma. You have Param Yuva also. So it's a series of supercomputers, and it is used for space research, weather forecasting, seismic data analysis. Seismic data analysis means for measuring the earthquakes, like when the earthquakes, where the earthquakes have happened and all the stuff, and aeronautical engineering, scientific data processing, and pharmaceutical development. So let me go to a quick review of what we learned today. Computers are divided into three types: analog, digital, and hybrid. So analog computers, they work on continuous physical quantities which are varying. Digital computers works on zeros and ones. Hybrid computers have the features of both analog as well as digital. And digital computers are again divided by purpose, by size and performance. By purpose, general purpose and specific purpose, and by size and performance, it is divided as microcomputer, mini computer, mainframes, and supercomputers. Microcomputers are also known as PCs. Mini computers are mid-range computers, and mainframes are bulky computers used for data processing. Supercomputers are used for scientific research and engineering research, and it's mainly developed by the governments because it is very, very expensive. Now let us talk about your first PU questions. In first PU board, they may ask you to draw the classification of computers, how they are divided, and they may ask you like how are computers divided by size and performance. Then you need to draw this particular diagram, and you have to explain each of these computers at least 2 points. If it is for 5 marks, you need to at least give 2 points of these features of these computers. And also please learn some examples of supercomputers, uses of mainframes, and uses of supercomputers, and uses of microcomputers. So hope you have all understood this. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.